We ran into snafus. We ran into snafus this morning. My son doesn't really appreciate it when I do my show from here at the house, primarily because I'm down here in the basement. You can maybe hear just a bit of that echo, hopefully not too bad, but you can maybe hear just a bit of that echo. But his room is like right there. Probably 20 feet, maybe 25 feet on the other side. And so he always tells me when I do my show in here how he can hear me, and he doesn't necessarily appreciate it. However, today we had a little bit of a snafu. So we gotta do what we gotta do, as they say, right? As the old saying goes, we do what we gotta do. I ain't mad at you. That whole thing. So yeah, we're gonna dive in and we're gonna continue on with this thing that we do called hashtag Rise and Grind, whether my 13-year-old son appreciates it or not. That's what's happening. So good morning, let's dive in.
Good morning and welcome to hashtag Rise and Grind, the #1 morning show in the world filled with motivation, education, and inspiration. I am your host, Glenn Lundy, husband to 1, father to 8, and the founder of the 800% Club, the club designed to help you unlock your full potential. Each episode is filled with celebrity interviews, inspiring conversations, and the strategies you need to get ahead in your career and your life. So grab your pen and turn up the volume because it's time to rise and grind.
Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Dude, today is, great question. Today is Tuesday. That's right. Today is Tuesday, December 16th. Oh my goodness. Today is Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most, and I do mean the absolute most, of this absolutely incredible, incredible day. I'm coming to you live from Lexington, Kentucky. It's supposed to start to warm up a little bit today after yesterday's super cold start. Yesterday we had a super cold start. Yesterday we had a high of like 3 degrees or something like that. Today it's gonna pick up a little bit. Today is also Tuesday, known as Taco Tuesday around the world, where people around the world indulge in the deliciousness of tacos. Today is also a day where apparently alarms don't get set, people don't wake up on time, and we have to do a show without the full production. We had time to write it, but not time to produce it. And yeah, we get to do a show today a little bit different. Not a little bit different. We've done this plenty of times before over the years. If you don't know who I am, my name is Glenn Lundy, husband to 1, father to 9. I am the author of the legacy titles, 12 Proven Principles to Grow Your Business 800%. I also wrote a book called The Morning 5 Simple Steps to an Extraordinary Life. And I am the host of this show, hashtag Rise and Grind, daily morning show, bringing you motivation, education, and inspiration Monday through Friday, as we've been doing for, well, off and on since January of 2018. We went on a stretch where we did 1,000 episodes straight. We did that, and then after doing 1,000 episodes straight, we took a little tiny break. I don't think anybody can blame me. And then we hopped back in and did some different variations of the show. And then we came back after doing some different variations, and here we are, 5:30 a.m. Eastern time. So we are in a series this week called Cheers to Nearly 50 Years. Not quite. Cheers to nearly 50 years. I'm gonna be 48 years old 5 days from now, I guess. Today's Tuesday, Saturday. I will be 48 years old on Saturday. So I was born in 1977. I don't know what year you were born, but I was born in 1977. And my 50th birthday is an important day. It's a really important day for me because I made a promise to my wife that some things would go down a certain way by the time that I on my 50th birthday. And so I'm in the process of building that. I'm in the process of building our company in a way that it's going to make sense when I turn 50. Process of building my health, my fitness, my education, all these different areas have to be in a certain spot on my 50th birthday. And so I thought what we would do this week, as we're getting closer, as I'm getting closer to age 50, what I thought we would do this week is we would go back in time a little bit so that we could learn the lessons, take the lessons that we've learned through the last nearly 50 levels, right? They call it years. They say you're 50 years old. I call it levels, right? I've learned and grown and adapted and evolved through 40, going on 48 levels. And hopefully I've got another 70 levels in me. That's my hope. 72 levels in me. That's my hope. But by reflecting and looking back on these last 48 years, we can actually see the future. It's really interesting. When we look back, we see trends, we see the things we learned, we understand a little bit about ourselves foundationally, and we can now take those lessons, take those things we learned, just like in a video game, right? We did a whole series the other week, a video game, Donkey Kong. But just like in a video game, you learn these different things. You learn how to overcome, how to jump over the barrels, how to climb the ladders, how to time everything. And so each year you're learning something new that can be applied into the future. And that's what we've been doing. We kicked this series off yesterday. We're going to continue this series this week. But before we go too far, you know what we got to do? We got to do some dancing on this show. We got to get our bodies in motion. So let's do that. I have the sniffles today, so excuse me.
Glenn Lundy in the house, no time to break.
There you go. For those of you that know, and those of you that don't know, this is the part of the show where you and I are going to do some dancing. That's right. We're going to do some dancing. Get our bodies in motion. Is it too loud? Might be too loud. But this is the part of the show where we want to get our bodies in motion. If you're out on a run right now, we want you to pick up the pace. If you are in your car, go ahead and get your body in motion, do some chair dancing while you're in that seat with the kids. Maybe you're around the world, maybe you're at work, maybe you're, I don't know where you are, I don't know what you're doing. As a matter of fact, why don't you just drop it in the comments? Just drop it in the comments, say here's where I am and here's what I'm doing. Why don't you go ahead and do that? And I will take a look so that I can get an idea. This is also the part of the show where I want to say good morning to you and I want you to say good morning to me. Whether you're watching live or you're watching it on replay, say what's up and I'll say what's up back. Good morning, Tosh Queen. Thank you for being here. And for those of you that are on replay, 99% of our viewers, 95% of our viewers watch this show on replay. Make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you know, let me know that I dropped, or that you, gosh, I can't even talk. Make sure you let me know that you dropped by so I can say what's up. Liza Vortis, I see you this morning. Scott Simons, I see you this morning. Malika, I see you this morning. Maria, I see you this morning. Sean Weatherby is in the building. Trisha Rue says she's in cold New York. Ramon Ray says he's headed to the gym. Way to go, Ramon. West Storm says good morning. Maria, what does she say? She is here watching me. Okay, all right, Maria, I'm glad you're here. Kimberly Hatfield, Robert Downey is in the building. Tony Schmidt says she's in Philly, cleaning up the house. Let's go. Tosh Queen, music is fab. Okay, cool, thank you. West Storm is in the building. Jeremy Nally, what's up, Jeremy Nally? Mike Strong is in the building. Paul Brindley is making his dog's breakfast. Making his dog's breakfast. I'm curious that it was worded that way. Are you like actually making something fresh for the dogs? Or are you just pouring like a can? I'm curious about that. You know, some people get legit when you say making breakfast. It sounds like you got a recipe out there. Mike Larkin says where's my chair dancing, multitasking this morning. Great to see you. Don Sankey is in Charlottesville, Virginia, which he wasn't when I first met him, by the way, but he has made a complete life change. Tara Hope, good morning, thanks for being here. Soul Salcido is dancing in Jersey. Scott Simon says he's in the shower, so don't FaceTime him. Scott, I'm just going to sit on that for just a second, sit on that awesome visual that you just dropped on all of us here this morning on hashtag Rise and Grind. Thanks for that, Scott. I appreciate it. Richard Bruce, good morning. Great to see you. Robin Wilshans is in the building. Thanks for being here, Robin. We've got Angela Hastings. Good morning. Amy Sizemore is in here from Pennsylvania. What's up, Amy Sizemore? Great to see you. Kevin Fadley is here from Woodstock, Virginia. Rodney Rock Hatfield is at home preparing for his day. Morning 5. Joan Goebel is in the building. Wendy Reeves is whizzing in from Surprise, Arizona. So early over there, but Wendy loves joining us. Tony Thorstad is in the building. Richard Bruce says he's at the hospital with 6 sick babies. Prayers needed. Yes, sir. We can do that. We can pray for you. Tosh Queen dancing. Young Johnson throwing these weights around this morning. Christina Howard is in San Antonio watching and helping on the BWC stage this morning. I love it. What's it say? Cabbage, carrots, sardines, and eggs. Paul is making his dog cabbage, carrots, sardines, and eggs. What's up, GA? You know, different people have different relationships with their pets. You realize that? You notice that? Our dog eats the same thing every day. Same dog food every day. We got a bowl. We just make sure it's got food in it. She eats it whenever she wants to eat it. She's strong. She's healthy. She runs fast. She's a good dog. Paul Brindley, cabbage, carrots, sardines, eggs. Like, there's just different levels. You know what I'm saying? There's just different levels. It's just simple as that. Different levels in this thing called life. That sounds like a lot of effort and energy and a lot of love for your dog. That's what that sounds like to me. All right, check it out. We don't have the full production that I would normally want to have, but we can do this in our minds because you guys are grown folks and you can use your imagination, and that's the thing, is the brain is a powerful tool, right? So I want you to picture it. The year is 1987. Can you do that? The year is 1987. The hair is high. The jeans are stone-washed. The family minivan has that wood paneling on it, right? You guys remember that? Chevy Chase's Vacation, you got the little wood panel all the way down the side. And inside the middle of that world, here I am, this biracial kid. My dad's black, my mom's white, and I am trying to figure out who I am. I feel different. I'm searching for understanding, answers. Where do I belong? I'm observing. I'm like a chameleon. I'm blending in, right? If I'm hanging out with the white folks, I'm acting white. If I'm hanging out with black folks, I'm acting black. I was everything on the outside for everyone else because I had no idea who I was on the inside. I was learning to navigate 2 different worlds and somehow trying to belong to both without belonging to either. Sometimes I still have this issue in my life today. The only difference is I have a better idea and understanding of who I am. But trying to not be labeled as one thing has been like a huge part of my journey. But anyways, back to the 80s. So this decade, right? This is when I'm 10 years old, 11 years old, I'm 12 years old. I'm going into middle school. I'm starting to navigate girls and so on and so forth. Starting to navigate sports and likes and personalities and all of these things. This decade was not a polished decade for me. It was real. 87 to 97. It was messy. It was formative, right? It was formative, and it taught me a lot of lessons that I still use in my life today, that have shaped a lot of the decisions that I make, like even still, to right now, right? What about you? I want you to think about those years, 87 to 97, for those of you in the room that are old enough to have experienced 87 to 97. What were those years like for you? Or if it's not 87 to 97, just think about those years from age 10, right? From age 10 to age 20. Go ahead and drop it in the comments. What comes up for you mentally when you think about the years age 10 to age 20? You see, this decade of childhood and adolescence, it's a decade for me, it was a decade of awkwardness. I was so skinny, like ridiculously skinny. Like I did not break 100 pounds until I was a junior in high school. I was under 100 pounds. I was taller and lengthy and ridiculously skinny. They used to call me Bone because I was so skinny. I was like a skeleton, you know what I'm saying? So it was an awkward season for me. And I ran track, and back then when we ran track, we had these short little shorts, like little tight little spandex, little short things. So just imagine short, skinny, not short, but like taller, skinny, short shorts, tight, big ears, right? Because I mean, my ears, they're big now, but they were bigger, like, because I was smaller, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just an awkward season for me, for real. It was a decade of awkwardness. It was a decade of wonder. It was a decade of my first crushes, right? My first real crush. A girl named Annie, who was much older than me, and then I had a crush on Laura Watkins, who ended up being my girlfriend for a few years and I thought was gonna live with forever. This was also a season of first heartbreaks, right? Laura was the first crush. She was also the first heartbreak. This is a season where I was learning how the world works. I was discovering who I was within it, and my guess is the same is true for you. Alexandria says her husband is white, and she's had to navigate their daughters through some identity challenges. Trisha says her sister was perfect and she was trying to catch up. Sol Salcido says she moved to Ecuador, a world of difference. Life was so easy for a short period of time. Rodney Rock Hatfield said he was skinny too. Patricia says it was transformational. She went from playing with toys to playing with boys. This decade, man, from age 10 to age 20, it formed the root system of my identity, if you really start to dive in, right? For me, the 10 to 20, 77 to 87, that was a decade full of energy when it came to creativity and in the movies. I got lost in movies. I still to this day am lost in movies, but movies like The Lion King and Jurassic Park and Space Jam and Home Alone and Forrest Gump and Toy Story. As a matter of fact, Toy Story, I actually had my kids watching Toy Story 2 last night because I realized like some of these iconic movies that were iconic for me weren't even around, right? Like the kids don't even know about them. And so there was just iconic movies that still to this day are incredibly impactful. And Amy says, I was adopted at 8 and always felt different. Yes. And then there was the music that set people's hearts on fire, right? The music was incredibly passionate for me at that particular season, 87 to 97. You had Boys to Men, you had Tupac, you had Biggie, right? You had Nirvana, you had TLC, you had Mariah Carey, you had Dr. Dre, Garth Brooks was a big deal, right? When it came to TV shows, you had Fresh Prince, you had Saved by the Bell, what's up, Zach? How you doing, AC Slater? You had TGIF, you had Full House, DJ, what's up, DJ? We had Martin, right? We had Seinfeld, right? We had these crazy shows. It wasn't just entertainment. This was like the identity formation of that decade. Culture was teaching us courage. Culture was teaching us humor. Culture was teaching us rhythm and rebellion and to have hope. And while all of that's happening, I'm trying to figure who I am out, right? I remember going through so many different styles of clothing and outfits, right? Like looking back, when I look back at this particular season, hi Allison, great to see you. What's up, Tanya Robinson? How you doing, Nicholas Vivian? When I look back, right, like this season was like the birth of a criminal for me. Right? This was the birth of a criminal, and the clothes were like very fitting to that when you think about it. Plus the music was very fitting to that if you think about it. But like baggy jeans so wide that you could like fit 4 of me in them, you know? Super skinny kid in super baggy jeans, right? A lot of people were wearing like hyper colored shirts that changed colors. The LA Gears, you guys remember LA Gears, light up sneakers. We had starter jackets. Bro, the starter jackets was insane. The starter jackets was a real thing. Like if you had, I used to have my Raiders starter jacket. If you had, I had a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket. I mean, drop it in the comments if you had a starter jacket. Starter jackets were the thing, bro. You were the jam if you had a starter jacket. Then they had cross colors. Remember cross colors? Everybody wearing cross colors. Your shirt would be like part green and part red and part yellow. And then your shorts would be part, like it was just this whole thing, right? Flat tops, people hair-wise, the flat tops. You had the beginning of the do-rag wave just started coming in this particular season, right? Young Johnson says starter jackets are goated, right? Robert Downey had the Lakers back-to-back jacket. Kevin Fadley had parachute pants. Yeah, I love it, right? It's so fascinating because this season, 87 to 97, for you, age 10 to age 20, whatever years those were, this is a season where you were learning to express yourself even though you didn't know who you were. And see, that's a part of growth. You cannot become who you are without trying on different versions that don't fit first. I hear it all the time. People are always telling me like, man, I want to get real clear on who I am. I want to get real clear on my purpose, so on and so forth. But yet you haven't left your hometown. You've never left. You've lived in the same house since you were born. Like you dated the same person since you were 12 years old. You've never been more than a 6-mile radius. You've been in the same job for 40 years. And you're like, I really want to know who I am. You can never become like who you fully are, your full potential, without trying on different versions that don't fit first. This is also a season for me where Nintendo was a big deal. Sega Genesis, big deal. The first PlayStation came out, cassette tape, CDs, the Discmans, the Walkmans, the dial-up internet came out, AOL chat rooms. I remember being a freshman in high school, and they were teaching us to type on these little gray boxes that had these little green flashing letters, and it was called DOS. and we were learning to type on DOS. I remember the first time when I heard the from the internet dialing in. I actually worked for a company that sold America Online. I remember the floppy disks that we used to put into those little computers. And what's crazy is in that particular season, technology did not just change, it absolutely exploded. And what I learned during that season, and maybe you did too, is that it doesn't take long for the world to evolve. Have you ever noticed that? But you do have to evolve with it. You see, every decade forces us to level up our mindset, level up our skills, level up our identity. And some people are first. Other people drag in second. Then there's those that come last. And what's interesting is this technology thing, it's a hurry up and wait scenario, right? It's like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. This is taking forever. This is taking forever. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. This is taking forever. This is taking forever. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. This is taking forever. This is taking forever. And then all of a sudden, boom, like everything changes. You notice that? It's like a really interesting, it takes forever and then it happens overnight kind of phenomenon, kind of experience. And so people, those of you that have hung out with me here, you'll see whenever new technologies come out, I usually jump out up front. I'm trying to figure it out. This AI thing, we've been up from the very front for the last 3 years, 2.5 years. I've been telling and teaching and saying like, yo, you got to jump in this game. Yo, you got to jump in this game. Yo, you got to jump in this game. And I've always kind of been that way, and I've learned it because in this season, when technology was rapidly changing with Nintendo and Sega and PlayStation, all of these seeds were kind of planted like, yo, you got to be first. Because ultimately everybody's going to come over anyway, but it's much more comfortable when you're, it's much more comfortable when you're at the football game in the front row versus at the football game all the way up in the bleachers. There's a better chance that someone's going to hand you a ball or sign your jersey when you're in the front row than when you're up in the bleachers in row, 296. And what's awesome is usually it's backwards from like a football game. With this technology thing, the front row is usually cheaper than the back row. Because if you go first, the technology's new. Nobody knows what it's worth. Nobody knows its value. You can get in cheap when you go first, but when you come last, you pay more. So it's backwards, right? Like you get the front row, you get a better view of the game, and the investment is significantly less. And yet so many people will hesitate. They'll stay stuck. They'll stay small. They don't want to evolve. So listen, the world is evolving around you, but you must choose to evolve with it. Level up that mindset, level up your skills, level up your identity. So listen, this 10 years, age 10 to age 20, while culture was doing its thing, I was growing into a kid who saw the world through multiple lenses. One of the gifts of being half black, half white is this ability to associate, walk in other people's shoes, this ability to see different perspectives. And though it wasn't simple being half black and half white in the late 80s, early 90s, it wasn't simple. Not everyone understood it, and definitely not everyone accepted it. I did learn very early how to adapt. I became the kid that could fit in anywhere. I became the kid who could read people. I learned how to read people. Like when you grow up in between two worlds, you learn to observe the room, kind of like a scientist. I can see certain mannerisms in body language. I can see certain mannerisms in facial features and facial expressions. I can tell whether there's any cultural biases there that might be dangerous or cultural biases that might be opportunistic. I've learned how to connect. Different backgrounds helped me build bridges. I'm a bridge builder. I bring people together, equip them with the tools they need to succeed, and inspire them to be great. These are skills that I use today as a speaker, as a leader, as an influencer. This was also a season where I learned how to survive, dude. My childhood had challenges. Like, I didn't grow up with a ton of stability, right? There were things that I knew. I knew that there would be a roof over my head. My parents made sure that that was always the case. I knew that there would be food when I needed to eat. My parents made sure that that was the case. However, they also divorced when I was 11 years old. My dad went through 2 more wives in that particular season. My mom lost her job. She got laid off after working with a company for a very, very, very long time. Like, there was a lot of uncertainty. We always had enough, but we never had abundance. Does that make sense? And so my childhood had its challenges. I didn't grow up with stability, but I grew up with purpose. And this was even before, like, I understood what that meant. Like, it was still a part of who I was. Here we are in this season, right? Hip hop's becoming a global force. It's starting to take over the world. And why was hip hop such a big deal back then? It was a big deal because it voiced a truth that nobody else was saying. It was rhythm, it was poetry, it was resistance, it was resilience, it was identity, which was a lot of the same things that I was going through in that particular season, right? I was just a kid finding rhythm in a world that did not fit neatly into lines or labels. And it's interesting because me growing up in that season made me realize that your voice becomes a weapon once you learn how to use it. And it can become a weapon for good or a weapon for evil. And I've lived both seasons. I've lived a season where I used my tongue to break down others. I've also had an incredible season of life where I've been able to use my tongue to help others get to new levels. You see, what's interesting is that season, hip hop taught me confidence, creativity, courage. It taught me to speak up, to stand up, to show up. And I know I wasn't the only one. My guess is if you're anywhere near the same age as me, the same is true for you. So listen, let's wrap this up and let's get out of here. Some of the lessons from age 10 to age 20 that we can all take with us is, don't fear the awkward phase. Whether it be in your business or in your life, it's simply proof that you're growing. Identity isn't something you inherit, it's something you ultimately build. Just because you were born in a certain environment and a certain place does not mean that that is the identity you have to embody. You can build whatever it is you choose to build. Also, when the world evolves, let's adapt with it. Let's not fall behind. Let's jump ahead of some of these curves. Also, remember that the struggles are always training for the calling. That is always the case and always will be. And lastly, just remember that the way that you express yourself is part of your leadership. Like, let people see your journey. A big piece of why I've had the success that I've had, the impact that I've had, I've been able to build the life that we've been able to build is because I haven't been afraid to let people see the journey. Sometimes it's polished and wonderful. Other times it's waking up late and having to pivot and change. Sometimes I have time to fully produce a show. Sometimes I have time, barely enough time, to just get going at 5:34 to be able to deliver a message. Some days are high, some days are low. Sometimes I'm in a great mood, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes my relationships with my kids are amazing. Other times my kids are like, "Dad, shut up." Sometimes business is rocking and rolling. Other times business is not. It doesn't matter. You get to see it all. I share it all. We struggle together. Because I've realized a long time ago that when I can reflect the experiences that you're going through in your life, then you and I can connect on a deeper level. And the same is true when you reflect on that teenage decade from 10 to 20. When you reflect on it and you think about the struggles that shaped you and the strengths that emerged because of it, do not run from beginnings, simply build on top of them. 10 to 20 was an incredible decade that taught me who I was, not because it was an easy decade, not because it was a smooth decade, but because it was a real decade. It was a decade of resilience, adaptability, connection, and courage, the very things I use every single day. So tomorrow we're gonna go to that next decade. We're gonna go to adulthood, age 20 to age 30. We're gonna take it from 1997 to 2007. We're gonna talk about how responsibility starts to kick in, the mistakes, the transformation, love, loss, all of those things. The decade where everything changes. But until then, let's get after it today. You and me, children of God, the God of the universe, the God that made everything, and that God made you and I to be the best versions of ourselves we can possibly be. Not average versions, not a little bit below average or a little bit above, but the absolute best. So let's go out there and get it. Today, it's time to hashtag rise and grind. Have an amazing day. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Boom!
Let's go. It's 5:30 a.m. and the world's awake. Glenn Lundy in the house, no time to break. Husband to one, father to nine. This is the anthem, this is the grind. Let's go. Rise and grind every single day. 5:30 in the morning, Glenn